Okay, we are back for the finalization of this project. I'm fatigued. You can tell I was teaching all day today. Okay, um, first of all, this is where we are now. We have this block here. Now, remember what I said about the compositing background and the reason for that and everything? Okay, so let's switch back to our editing view so that we can see our scene and what's going on here. Let's add a light. Click that and hold. We'll just choose a regular old light. We will move it up and over this way and over this way. Just like that. And maybe even a little bit higher. Okay. So now we got our light up there. Go back to our regular view. We'll select our light. We'll go to shadow. We'll go to shadow maps, soft. We'll make it 1000 by 1000. Give us a nice resolution, very high quality, just like the video. We will go to the render options, render settings. Well, we're going to add an effect. The effect is ambient occlusion. The settings we're going to change is we're going to change maximum ray length to 1000, 1000, and we're going to change accuracy to 75, and we're going to change contrast to 30, and that'll be a ballpark figure for us to start with. Now we'll render. Okay, now you see the ambient occlusion is giving us some shadows, but it's not exactly what we're looking for. So let's go back and change it to 20 and see if that softens things up any. Okay, that's not too shabby. Now, we want to go to our light. We want to change the density to 50% and render again. That's actually pretty good. Let's scrub to the timeline and see what that renders like right here. Okay, I'm going to make that, wow, okay. And ambient occlusion. Let's make that 15. Wow, that's not too shabby. Scrub back, render. Okay, let's go to light. This is 25. Let's try that. Okay, let's grab the light and move it this way a little bit. And now render. Okay, and you'll have just about as much shadowing around it as these other buildings produce from the global illumination. Obviously, it was a cloudy day when this was shot. Okay, so now we are on to model a building. So the easy way to do this is we're going to turn off our floor and our background and even our seen. Okay, and what it's going to leave us is select a, let's turn off our light. What that's going to leave us is our box. Okay, so now to edit this, let's go to vertex editing. And what we're going to do is, let's move this down so we can get at it real easy. We're going to make a copy of it. Okay, we will hide the copy temporarily. We'll work with the original. We're going to grab this point, hold Control down, Shift down, hit that point and that point. And we're going to raise it a little bit for the roof. About there, give or take. Okay, now let's go to this building is going to be the roof. So this cube, I am going to use one for the roof and one for the body of the building. Okay, so let's delete this one. Make a copy of this one now that I have a roof. And hide the one. We're working with that one. And now we're going to polygons. And I'm going to select these. And on the side. And the bottom. And hit delete. Okay, so I'm left with only the roof, and we will name this accordingly, roof. Hide that for the moment. Well, we don't actually have to hide it. We select the other cube and unhide it. Okay, the other cube is back. Now, of this cube, we're going to delete the roof that exists on it. Delete. And now it looks like the roof's still there because it's actually this cube. Okay, so now we're all set with the building, except for the roof extends out over the edges a little bit in both directions. So we'll switch back to object mode. We'll go to scale, and we will make it a little bit longer. Whoop, not that much, just a little bit. Okay, and we will do the same thing for the left and right. Okay, so now the roof sticks out over the edge a little bit, and that's fine. Now we'll call this one building. Okay, now we need two shaders, the white for the roof and the red for the building. But we still got to model some stuff first. Let's use a cube. Okay. Let's make it editable. Whoops. Let's undo that. Let's scale it X and Z both at the same time. Let's make it a very small strip. Now we go to our top view. Let's change that to top. And we will find our, okay, display. Let's make it lines. Okay. So now we want to move that one, and we will put it right there. Now we can look in this view at the same time, see that we need to move it up. We should probably actually make it a lot smaller. That's not too bad, but I want to make it try to match the other side. So scale it, make it a little smaller, like that. I think it's going to need to be smaller yet. Okay, so now it's smaller. And we're going to shrink the length so it matches the height of the building. Okay, now, okay, let's go back to top view. We will move this over to the corner of the building. This is the building, and this is the roof. Okay, so just so you understand what I'm doing here, let's rotate it just a little bit so it matches our corner. And let's move it a little bit more. Okay. Now this is our cube. We're going to call that trim eventually. We're going to need to make 1, 2, 3, 4 of those. We're going to move one over to that corner. 1. Back to that corner. And this one back to that corner. Okay, so while we're here, let's get this done. And we will move this to right there. Move up to the back corners of the building. It's almost like building a building, but it's a lot easier and you don't get splinters. So, okay, now let's select this cube at the front, and we will make another duplicate of it. We'll drag it over here towards the center, and we're going to turn it sideways 90 degrees. You can manually set it right there, 90 degrees. Let's scale it so that it reaches the width of the building. That's close enough. Okay, now you might say, how are you going to rotate it to get it to line up? Because it's fairly touchy and it seems like a lot of trouble. Well, there is a cheat for this, and I will show you what it is. Let's select a rectangle selection and go to points, vertexes, verti. Let's see. Okay, we'll grab that and we'll move it to right there. We'll grab those and move it to right there. Now we go back to object mode and we make sure we have it in the right place. Which it's absolutely not. However, we just slide it up to there. And now it's in the right place. Okay, so we have our trim on our building. Now what we need is some shaders on it that make it look real. Okay, so number one, let's create a new material. Let's make it white, kinda, and bump it up to about 150% so it's like really, really white. And we will slap that on the roof. Okay, let's go back to our main scene. Let's turn everything back on. And render once. Okay, that white may be a little bright compared to that building, so let's turn it down a little bit. Let's make it 120. and render again. Well, that's not too damn shabby, is it? Not too bad. Okay, it's pretty close. Maybe 110. Render again. Yeah, that's looking pretty damn good. Okay, now we want to create the red for the building. And this, my friend, is a pain in my ass. Okay, so let's name this material roof. Let's name this red. Let's name this background. Okay, let's edit our red shader. Somewhere around there. And let's apply that to the building. Render. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. It's not exactly right, but we are getting somewhere. So, let's lighten that color red up some. Nope. That's better, but not even close yet. Okay. Let's turn off specular. Let's go to 180. Render. Well, it's kind of close. Okay, we're going to use the same white shader on the trim. We're going to select all these cubes and right click and connect objects and delete. Okay, so now we'll call this trim and we're going to add the white shader to it as well. Now we render. And that looks pretty damn good. Okay, now we want to go to the side view, and what we want to do is we want to lower the entire building. So we select all those things. There's another way to do it. Let's hold that down, hit null, call this building, select these three things and click drag them into our building, and that way we select that and we can move it as an object. We want to okay, we do want to center that pivot on the building so we can see easier where it's going to. Okay. And now okay. Now we render. That's not too shabby. Let's make another one. For the trim, stick it, whoops, undo that, and put the trim there instead, and we'll jack it up to 150 and render. Ah, there we go. That's not too shabby. Okay. So now what we want to do is we want to go to the building part, select the points, okay, and we're going to move the building, whoops, that's not working. Yeah, it is. Wow. I should have grabbed the points for the others at the same time, but that's okay. Now we grab the trim. And move those up to the ground level as well. Okay, now it's about the right height, and we want to render. Damn, that's looking pretty freaking good. Okay, so let's grab the building. Let's move it a little bit there. Move it a little bit there. And render. Okay, so now you've got your building. It's still a little tall. I'm not happy. Okay, so another thing we can do, although it's harder to change it later, is we can take these three things, the trim, the roof, and the building, right-click, connect and delete, and it will keep the textures separate, but now it is a completely different object. We can take it out of that building group and just call it building. Okay, and it has the three textures on the three different objects. So what we're going to do from this point is we're going to select points, and like that. And now we can select object mode again and move that puppy down to the ground. Alrighty. Oh yeah, baby. Alright. So now that's done. Finito. Okay. So actually it's just modeling. You model the building, you make it look how you want, and then you set up your render. Okay, the shadow is right for the building. Let's go with 128 samples instead of 64. A minimum of 20. That will give us a finer grained shadow. It will look better. Let's go to output. Okay, we want to make it all frames. We want to go to anti-aliasing. Okay, before we do that, we want to do a test. So let's keep a current frame, anti-aliasing, geometry, best. 1x1, 4x4. Okay, we want to go to save. We just leave that empty for now. Okay, and click render. You see it takes longer to complete a render now, but the quality is excelente. Okay, so we zoom in, and damn if that building don't look pretty good. The color's not exactly right, but let me try adding some blue to that. Wow, that's actually pretty damn close. Okay, now we want to scrub to the end. Take another render. Well, I think it needs to move a little bit to the left. I could stretch it, but that's pretty close. Pretty damn close. I'm not sure it's exactly right, but it's pretty damn close. Let's move it a little bit more. Wow, that is pretty damn close to perfect. Yeah. Okay, now that we are done with that, let's go back to the first frame and make sure it tracks. Oh yeah. Yeah, that looks, visually it looks good. Okay, one last thing to check. Let me turn my building off for a second. All right. And my floor. All right, background. Wait a minute, floor. Okay. Okay. Let me turn the floor off. Now I can see my dots. Okay. So this and this and this indicate where the bottom of the building should be, or close to it. So let's switch back to our view here. Okay, that's where the bottom of the building should be. Let's turn the building on. Ah, see, that's what the problem is. Let's grab our building and drop it to those dots. Okay, now we switch back to our main view. Make sure everything is turned back on to be visible and render again. Oh, baby. I should have done this for a living. Okay, let's grab the building, move it a little bit. That's why. Yeah. Okay, now that that is set up and we are ready to render the final pass, we want to go to output, change that to all frames, go to save, change the TIFF to JPEG, go to options, make it 100%, go to the browse thing, go to the render folder, call it match final, save. That should be and you change this to the name dot the number of the frame, and we don't want it to be a TIFF, but it's not going to be a TIFF. It'll be a JPEG because we told it to, and that just lets you know that that's how the format for the name goes. Okay, so okay, all right, that is finished. I'm going to save this. My C4D match move. Render 01 and click save. And now I click render because we have it set up for all the frames. It will start rendering and it'll render all 268 frames. So we click render. Back out a little bit, make it a little smaller. Let's keep it at 100%. That's okay. And see how it looks. Okay. Wow. That is actually pretty damn good. Cyber, you amaze yourself sometimes. Okay, so that's that, and that's how to do it. And this is the end of the end. Once you've modeled a building and put it there, there you go. That's how to do it. So this last video basically was just to show you how to model something and match colors and so on in the final render, as well as how to tweak the render settings to make it look more real than a banging rocks together. So anyhow, thanks for paying attention to my videos, and we'll see how it goes. Laters.